Hello everyone, this is Sambhu from Cloud Tech. Hope you guys are doing well. I am also doing well. Today we'll talk about AWS VPC, like Amazon Virtual Private Cloud. Okay, so what today our agenda is like what is VPC and then why we are using VPC and then what all component we have in the VPC and then we'll talk about about the VPC subnet and then we'll talk about CIDR value and then we'll so like how we can create the CIDR value, how we can calculate the IP address range and from the CIDR value. And then I will show you once we create the CIDR range, right? On that CIDR range, there are in Amazon, there are some reserve IP. So which all IP basically it will reserve, then list of reserve IP, then I will show you the VPC and direct connect. Okay. So guys, let's move on to one by one. So first of all, let me clear you what is the VPC, right? So VPC stand for Virtual Private Cloud in AWS. Okay, and it's basically it's a kind of private network or it's kind of isolated network, I can say. And in on that isolated network, you can deploy your whatever application you would like to run. Right, that application you can deploy on that particular private network. Why basically we need this private network because see in AWS there are whenever any region either you go to any region there will be one default VPC. Okay, and in the default VPC all the default component also will be available. But if you would like to need your own private network that you can only manage yourself, like you can configure like how the IP range, how the security group, what could be the subnet, what could be the NAT gateway, what could be the internet gateway, all these things. If you want to take all the control from yourself, then you can specify VPC, you can create your own VPC and then you can work on that VPC. Okay, and everything you can decide, like every control you will have in this particular VPC. So for that only we need this VPC. So let me give you some architecture diagram, like how VPC looks like. I will take this suppose this is the VPC, and inside the VPC, suppose you are going to launch one API and one app server. API server will contain all your web UI details JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and that app server will contain all the database and your backend, right? REST API details, all these things. Okay. Now let's talk about which subnet I will decide API should go and which subnet should app should go, right? Think this is the private VPC, right? This entire private VPC, how it's a private, right? From the public internet, no one can communicate to this VPC, right? So if someone want to communicate to this VPC through the private network, then how they will communicate, right? For that, AWS providing one as service like internet gateway. This internet gateway is the service. By using this one, like you can from the public internet you can talk to your private VPC. Okay, so for that purpose we'll use this internet gateway. So this is also one very important. We have whenever you are creating the private VPC, right? For that, you have to specify it or you have to create one internet gateway and you have to attach that internet gateway to this VPC. In my hands-on demo, in the next subsequent demo, right, while I will show you in the AWS console, I will give you all details clearly. Like I will create each and every service and I will demonstrate everything. So this I will create there are two different video I will create. I am thinking one video I will give you all the details overview of this VPC and then component, CIDR value, all these things how we can calculate. Then next video I will create that in AWS console this VPC and I will deploy this kind of server and I will show you like how we can communicate each other and how this all component, all this VPC component, how it will be useful. Okay, guys. So I hope this internet gateway you guys got clear what this basically purpose we can use. Now internet gateway we have attached to this VPC. Now we are good to connect or from the public internet we can communicate to this VPC. Now in this API server, right? This API server that can be either suppose you can deploy in the public subnet, right? In the subnet, right? Whenever you are creating subnet, there are two subnet basically. One is the public and one is the private subnet, right? So now public subnet, your UI or your all the CSS, every stuff is there, right? Now from the public subnet, you want to communicate, you can communicate to the private subnet, right? But for that, suppose in that here you are deployed like DB, or here you need some install. You on the public private subnet. Suppose you need you want to communicate to the public internet. Now from that internet gateway, you can communicate to your public subnet. So to your VPC. Okay. So this part is done. Now in the private subnet, how you can communicate? Suppose through now this private subnet, internet gateway to public subnet, then private subnet, you can communicate this way. Now question is, if this private subnet want to talk to internet, then how we can make that one, right? So suppose you in this app server, it's nothing but one EC2 instance, right? Suppose you would install the DB, or maybe your backend some application you deploy, right? For that application, you would need some dependency. You want to download some dependency, right? In the private subnet. Then what you basically need, this private subnet has to talk to internet, right? Public internet. But since it is a private, right, it cannot talk to the public internet, right? For that, AWS providing is the NAT, network access traffic, this NAT gateway. Okay, by using this NAT, right, if you attach this NAT, then your private subnet can communicate to the public internet, right? So suppose you want to install that app server or API server, or maybe you want to install that Tomcat or maybe some other dependency. Okay, so for that, you have to download that dependency, right? If you want to download, then you have to talk to the public internet, right? So for that, NAT will be useful, okay? And this NAT, we have to attach to the public subnet, not in the private subnet. If you attach this NAT in the public subnet, then private subnet can communicate through this NAT to the public internet, okay? I hope this session, this also it's got clear. Now, each VPC, right? Whenever you are creating the VPC, there will be one default subnet. Okay. Until and unless you not created your own public subnet, private subnet, it will be one default subnet. And in the default subnet, everything will be there. And also one default route table. What the route table basically, it will like a map, right? Which IP, what could be the range that can be communicated, how it will be route means like bypass your request, right? Suppose a request is coming to internet gateway, from the internet gateway, which IP address has to communicate, right? That basically by using this route table, we can manage that. Okay. So whenever you are creating VPC, these two will be by default, it will create until and unless you've specified your public and private subnet. Okay. And similarly for default route table, right? There will be, if you want, you can create your public route table and you can specify your private route table also. And same thing in the private route table, you can specify what could be the communication that from the private subnet, how you want to communicate, right? Those details we can map basically here. We can bypass our request. We can redirect our request to particular IP address. Okay. So these are the thing, and availability zone I have talked about already. And then this is the where like which region you want to. This VPC is a region specific. It's not a global. So you have to specify which region you want to create this VPC. Okay. So this US East one I have already I will create this VPC. So these are the component of the VPC, and there could be multiple like network access control list and and also there would be some other component also. Maybe while I will take you in the AWS console, I will show you those details also. Okay, guys. So I hope this got clear, right? So internet gateway is the one which will help you to communicate to your private VPC from the public internet. Okay, and NAT gateway is the one which will help you from the private subnet if you want to communicate to the public internet. Then by using NAT gateway you can communicate. And then route table basically to redirect your request whenever request is coming from internet gateway to your public subnet, from to where you want to redirect, from to where you want to bypass the request, so that you can specify it by route table. And then private route table also similar thing, you can specify it from the private subnet where you want to redirect your request. Okay. And AZ is the availability zone. Okay. I hope this got clear. So let's move on to next. Now we'll talk about little bit how the CIDR value basically it is to work, right? CIDR value basically whenever you are creating the CIDR range, like we have to specify it, like what could be the IP range you want, right? Suppose here I gave the example like 10.0.0.0./26. You can specify 28, 24. Okay. As per your requirement, right? You can specify how you want to range. You can specify this range. Okay. If you talk about this 10.0.0.0/26 is our example, in that our start IP, what could be our start IP? 10.0.0.0 is our start IP, okay? And then how many IP we can specify to this particular CIDR, like /26, right? That calculation how we can do, like 2 to the power total 36, right? 36 minus 226, right? Then it will be 2 to the power 6, and then it will be equal to 64, right? If you are taking here 28, right? Then it will be 2 to the power 36 minus 28. Then it will come 2 to the power 4. Then 2 to the power 4, it will come that value, okay? I hope this is clear, right? 2 to the power 4 means like total 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, 4 times 2 means 16. You got clear, right? This like that, that calculation will be happen. And what could be the end value, right? End value basically how many IP address we are creating here, right? 64, right? Minus 1 is the last number of your end IP address. Suppose you are starting 10.0.0 and last bit, this last O is, it would be 64 minus 1, like 63. This is your last IP address. Okay, I hope this got clear, right? Suppose if it is a 16, like 2 to the power, if it is a 28, right? Then it is a 16, right? Then it will start from 10.0.0.0, and then here end IP will come, since it is a 16, right? It will come 16 minus 1, then it will be 15. So 10.0.0.15, end IP will be 15. I hope this got clear. And note this one and one subnet, right? One route table can have multiple subnet. One subnet can have one route table, but one route table can have multiple subnet. Okay, an internet gateway attached in one VPC. You cannot attach one internet gateway to multiple VPC. Keep in mind these guys. These 2 points. What these 2 points? One subnet can have one route table, and one route table can have multiple subnet. Okay, and that internet gateway is our public, like public pointer, right? From by using that public we can connect, right? So that whenever you are creating internet gateway, right, that internet gateway you cannot attach multiple VPC. You have to attach only single VPC at a time. Okay. Once you attach one VPC, you cannot attach that internet gateway to another VPC. I hope this got clear. Keep in mind these 2 points. Now, list of IP address, right? Which all IP address basically reserved by AWS. Total 5 IP address. Like whenever you are specified, right? Here starting from 10.0.0.0 to 10.0.0.63, right? From here to here, there could be 5 IP address that AWS will reserve that you cannot utilize for your work. Rest of the IP address you can utilize. Suppose here total 64, right? 64 IP address we can create with the CIDR value, but from here 50 IP address you cannot use. Then how many you can utilize? Total like 59 IP address you can utilize for your application purpose. Okay, so let's show you like which are IP. The start IP you cannot utilize, like 10.0.0 is the start IP that basically AWS is reserved for network address. Okay, and then 10.0.0 second down, like 10.0.1 you cannot utilize. This one reserved that VPC routing, that AWS basically it is reserved for VPC routing. This IP address also you cannot utilize. And there could be some other IP range like 10.0.2. This also you cannot utilize. This basically used for DNS server, or if multiple CIDR, then DNS server will located in the primary CIDR. Suppose what does mean, like suppose you have multiple CIDR value, okay, in the particular VPC. There could be one primary CIDR and there could be one secondary CIDR, right? This DNS server IP, right? Which IP address that should be reserved, right? It cannot be both, right? So it will be from primary CIDR value, whatever primary you specified CIDR, from there only that 10.0.0 to this IP address will reserve for the DNS. Okay. And then one more IP address reserved, like it's basically AWS, it can be used for their future users, like that third one, 10.0.0.3. Okay, this one basically used for AWS reserved for their future use. And last IP address reserved for network broadcasting. Suppose this is also reserved by AWS, that last IP, right? Suppose this is our last end IP, right? 10.0.0 for this calculation, right? So this one also will reserve by AWS for your network broadcasting. Okay. Broadcasting, you mean what does mean you guys like it can be speed up that application or over the network, right? So that purpose, the network broadcasting purpose, this IP address is reserved. I hope this five IP address, list of five IP address, you guys got clear idea. So if it is suppose if it is a 28, here 16 IP address, right? Then from 16 means end IP address will be 10.0.15, right? So here 0, 1, 2, and 3. Then here 15. 15 will be the block. 10.0.0.15 IP address will be blocked for the network broadcast. Okay. Hope this hider value calculation also you got, and then this hider reserve IP address also you guys got clear idea. So don't get any panic, or don't think like if you whenever you are creating hider value, you will think okay, I by as per the calculation there will be like 64 or there could be 16 IP address I can utilize. Then where the 5 IP address, right? Don't get any confusion there. So this IP address reserved by AWS. So whenever if suppose if you feel like 64 IP address it's not sufficient to your application, then you have to think like instead of here 26, you have to specify 24. Okay. Or if it is 24 also, if you feel it's not sufficient, then you can decrease, or maybe you can do what you can do. You can create multiple cider values. Okay. Hope this primary and secondary cider kind of thing you can create that. Okay. I hope this VPC concept wise, right? How the VPCs work, what are the component of the VPC? I hope this session will clear you all, you guys. And in my next video, in the AWS console, I will create all these component. Then I will show you like I will launch two application and I will try to communicate by private subnet to public subnet. That also I will show you in my next subsequent video. Okay, guys. So if this video is valuable to you guys, then please do like, share, and subscribe my channel to support my this channel. And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.